Okay, I'm going to be addressing a very common topic, which is resistance to crate training. Naturally, if you're a dog trainer, you don't have an issue with this. Your clients, a lot of times, will have a problem with this. They'll say things like, I don't really want to use the cage. I would never cage my child, so I'm not going to cage my dog. And they say things like, I don't believe in crates. I've even had dog trainers, as surprising as that is, I've had dog trainers tell me things like, well, I don't believe in crates because technically, if your dog is crated, that means your dog is not actually trained. And all that shows is really a lack of understanding of what a dog is. And if you have a dog, especially if you work with dogs, especially if you get paid to work with other people's dogs, the one thing that you have to understand is that dogs are very opportunistic animals. If you don't know that, if you're a client, it makes sense. If you're a dog trainer, it is unacceptable, right? Dogs are opportunistic animals. They have different needs, they have different personalities, and they have different requirements for stimulation. So if you have a very understimulated dog, or even if you have a fairly stimulated dog, but they have a tendency to get bored pretty easy, and you leave them unattended, unsupervised, they're going to make a mess of your house. They're going to go in the trash. They're going to rip your furniture. They're going to just make your pillows explode and rip your curtains. All kinds of things that you don't want. They're going to cut a hole through your wall. All kinds of things that could happen simply because you don't believe in crates. But if you're a dog trainer, you don't have to worry about that. I'm very confident that you understand the concept of crate training and you are very familiar with it and you are very comfortable with the idea of crating your dog. The problem here is how do you convey this to your client when your client shows a lot of resistance to this? And I found a very effective way to handle this. Very, very effective way to handle this that I found to me is I ask logical questions. So the reason people will tell you I don't believe in crates is they get emotional. Once you get emotional, you're not thinking straight. So your clients are not thinking. At least they're not fully thinking about this process. They're mostly emotionally involved, and the thought of having their babies in a cage just terrifies them. So they'll tell you, I don't believe in crates. Really, what they're telling you is, I don't understand crates. So rather than go down that spiral of emotion, what I'll do is I will ask logical questions. So I have students, I have dog trainers that will ask me, how do you handle that? Super, super simple. Use logic. And here's first question I'm going to ask. So the person might tell me, I don't know if I like crates, Will. I don't know if I believe in crates. I'd rather not crate my dog. First question that I'll ask is, I'm not going to resist, by the way. I'm not going to tell them, you need to do it because I'm telling you to do it. That's only going to take you so far, and your consistency, your client's consistency is going to suffer when they don't fully buy into your message. So I'm not going to try to do that. I'm going to try to I'm going to get them to tell me why they need to crate their dog. Okay, very, very powerful technique right there is they're going to tell me why it's a good idea. First logical question I'm going to ask is, hey, I get it. You don't like crates. I understand. Let me ask you a question. Can you guarantee that your dog will never, be away from you? Can you guarantee that you will never have to go somewhere at a moment's notice where you cannot take your dog with you, and now your dog, uh, you know, and that you're gonna have to be separated from your dog? Can you guarantee that that's never going to happen? The logical answer is no. There are no guarantees. So think about the logic of that question. Can you guarantee that you will always be with your dog? Can you guarantee that you will never ever have to, at a moment's notice, leave suddenly due to some sort of emergency, and now you have to leave your dog with somebody else? Can you say that that will never happen? The logic will make them say, no, I cannot guarantee that. And even if they get very optimistic and they tell you, no, I don't see that happening, I will, arrangements can be made and all of that. And you can say, no, of course, we don't want that to happen. But is it realistic to say that you will always be with your dog throughout your dog's life. That not once will there be any instance in which your dog will have to stay for more than one day with somebody else at a moment's notice, or that your dog, heaven forbid, has to get medical attention, and now your dog has to spend, more than a day at a vet clinic. And you guarantee that is also out of the table. Logic is going to win eventually, right? I'm not arguing with them. I'm just asking them a simple question. The answer is going to be no, I cannot guarantee that. Okay, so my next question is, okay, so basically then I'll go, okay, so there is a possibility then, even though we don't want it to happen, there is a possibility, however slight it may be, that your dog will have to be with somebody else, possibly somebody who maybe, cannot have your dog out and about on their bed and having the free run of the house. There's a possibility that might happen, right? That your dog might have to stay with somebody who cannot have your dog loose in their house. Or there's also the possibility that your dog might have to stay at the vet clinic for over a day, and naturally the veterinarian is not going to take your dog home with them. They're going to leave him at the clinic, which where are they going to stay? Exactly, right? In both scenarios, the worst case scenarios, in both those scenarios, however unlikely they may be, your dog will have to stay in some sort of a crate. The logical answer then would be yes. Even if they tell you, well, I have a friend, I have, my really close friend, he loves dogs, and I know he wouldn't crate my dog. Okay, what if you don't have enough time to arrange that? So keep pushing the logic. The next question is, okay, so now that we established that, here's my next question. What do you think will be easier for your dog to handle? A, you have to leave. Now he has to stay with somebody he doesn't know. And on top of that, he has to be shoved in a crate for the first time in his life. Or B, do you think it'd be easier if we crate train your dog, we train it under ideal circumstances, and we make it a fun and motivational training session? Which introduction do you think is better and less stressful for your dog? The first scenario, in which your dog has never been in a crate or is rarely in a crate and now has to get shoved in a crate because you're not there? Or scenario B, which is we're going to crate train the dog, build some reward history with the crate, and that way, no matter where you go, if you have to go at a moment's notice, you can have your dog be watched by a friend and crate it safely with very little stress. Naturally, logic will win over, and they'll tell you, well, yeah, the latter scenario is better for the dog to actually get introduced to the crate properly. And that's where you come in and you go, okay, this is something that we can do together. Okay? I get it. You don't have to like crates, the idea or the thought of the crate. You don't have to like it. I completely understand. But given these two scenarios, we've established that it is better for us to crate train your dog under the ideal circumstances with very little stress and create a reward history. That way, should the event happen where your dog has to stay with somebody else for more than a day, your dog is not introduced to the crate for the first time under circumstances that are not ideal. Okay. One other argument that a lot of dog trainers will use, and I don't get this. I never really understood it, and now as a dog trainer, I don't understand it either. And that is, people will say, "Oh, well, the crate is just like a den." Dogs love their crates because it's just like a den. No, they actually like it. It's a den. And that's, if you're a dog trainer, you've probably heard this before or you've even used it. Well, it's kind of hard to convince the pet owner that the crate is a den when they have firsthand experienced their dog screaming inside the crate. not much of a den, they love the crate and this it's a den, so they love it. Experience when you have to shove your dog in there and your dog's screaming at the top of its lungs with the crate, with the door shut on them, right? It's kind of hard to convince them with logic when they have firsthand experience their dog screaming in the crate or their dog's not wanting to go in the crate, and then you come along and tell them, no, 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 they actually love it because it's a den. Dude, you're insulting their intelligence when you say that. So I don't like to use, I don't think I've very much used the den analogy. So the first thing I'll do is I'll ask those logical questions, and then I'll get them to tell me, yeah, well, we should actually do the crate training. That makes perfect sense. Okay, and then I go, yeah, and it might not be a den, but we're gonna get the dog to love it through counter conditioning if they have an aversion to the crate. We're gonna build a lot of reward history so that they want to go to the crate. That I have found goes a long way when it comes to explaining the concept of the crate and why we should crate the dog. When the person tells you, I don't believe in crates, use this tactic, man, it works every single time.